Okay, so this video I want to talk about a comparison with one of my tattoo when it was healed versus when it was fresh, other word new, and to show different different variation of the coloring, how this change from the time from healing process to when it was healed, and this kind of thing. So if we go to when it was healed, so it's up. The down picture is the down is the new one, the fresh, and to show the what I mean it's like you see, for example, the turquoise blue is much more grayish kind of blue, but you still see this blue, and probably the picture is not the best. I agree with that. The picture is probably one is not really extremely good in the show with the detail. But the thing here is that we see, for example, inside the mouth of the tattoo, you see it's much more pinkish red, like much more to that kind of coloring, comparable to the tattoo down. So it's down. It's much more like purplish kind of color inside the mouth of the tattoo. And the same is for if you look at on the eye on the fresh tattoo, it's much more limeish green, and we look up to the heel tattoo, it's much more darkerish green. And so the point here is that with the whole video is that when this like when we have different skin tone, and so I said before, when the ink sinks into the skin and you give some variation to the coloring, and that is especially with that is like you have to understand that a color is on the, it's like almost like you have an ice, and under the ice is the water, and your skin is like the ice, and when the coloring go into the ice in that sense of the skin, they will get more muddier up, so you don't gonna get exactly that shade of example. For me right now it's like the turquoise blue, because my turquoise blue is much more get darker in some sense, um, when you see on the picture. And so yeah, so you see here, if we go try to zoom in more on, if you look at example, oh, it's very bad, if it's really hard to see, but if you see on the four things here, when I zoom in on, you see that is very much more like, it's almost like the whole thing beside the turquoise blue and the green is turned to a different color. It's almost like you have almost like something closely related to purple, and then you get something much more closely related to pink. And that's not really a problem. It's not really a problem for me, but that is the thing to think about. If you have some skin tone, some color will change what kind of skin tone you put that color on. And so maybe some color will look a special way, maybe before they have healed, and when they heal, the tattoo color will look in another way on the skin. So let's see, how can I do a better picture? Okay, so here is the turquoise blue. Around the tattoo is and you see this very dark turquoise blue. And here is the turquoise blue when the tattoo was fresh, and it was much more like clearer. You can see much more clearer in that sense. I can still see my turquoise blue very well on my arm. It's not a problem in that sense, but it's almost like the turquoise blue is, it's like, it's a different, how can I say it, it's like is you still see the turquoise blue very very well on the skin, and so that is not a problem, but it's not exactly the same as you will maybe see it when it was new, and so a new, and I can probably, it's probably very hard because see, can I get any better picturing? Yeah, so that is the thing. So you see here is like almost the turquoise blue is almost lighter on the hill tattoo versus the fresh one. The fresh one is more darker, but it's not lighter at that sense that it's almost to more, you can call it light, different coloring. It's almost like you have what I want to say is some of the color looks very different, like almost a new color. Some color, like the turquoise blue, is much more to that sense of is lighter turquoise blue, almost like the coloring you have on like what's his name? You know what, when you go to a bed and you swim, you have something you put in the bed, and it's not like, it's almost that kind of color. You make it like this. I don't know what the name is, but it's almost something like you have. What's his name? It's the coloring is almost yeah. The coloring is almost yeah. The thing is simple. The color is different in that sense, not in the bad sense, but it's the sense of it's different. So the point with the whole thing is that when you have different skin tone will make a result of how the color will turn up when the tattoo have healed, and so that is not they're not gonna be bad, but it's gonna be a differences when the tattoo healed, because like it's almost like you have a mirror, and you see first you see the mirror, the thing in the mirror very clearly, and then the mirror get muddied up, and then you see harder to see to see your reflection in the mirror, and that is very similar to a tattoo. So first you have a clear picture in the mirror, and then your picture gets much more unclearer in the mirror, and always prepare what kind of skin tone. Sometimes going to be much more harder to see, and there is a reason why you have always tried to have very strong and powerful color to make it more clearer. So there is a reason why you can see the turquoise blue. You can see the blue very clear, and you see the green okay on this picture. And remember, this is a picture, it's not the best picture from my mobile screen, so that makes also very big sense. So yeah, so that is the whole thing. Really is like to really show in that sense that obviously this picture when this tattoo was fresh and new, before everything scabs have fallen off, and show obviously this picture is much better because better lighting on this picture, and this one is not so very very good picturing, so it's probably not very unfair to say exactly, but yeah, so exactly, this tattoo is not the best picturing of that tattoo comparable to the other picture. Is much more better, so obviously that makes also the same of other two videos, is that also very hard exactly to show. If you example have a very good camera, take a picture of a tattoo when it was new, and then you have a normal mobile camera that with many different mobile cameras and different status, what kind of, how much lighting and description, how well they will take a picture of the mobile camera comparable to like a Nikon National Geographic camera. obviously you will get a better picture with this camera comparable to an example, a Sony or Apple mobile phone camera. Obviously, prepare what kind of how new the camera is. Is it like the newest mobile phone of that company? Obviously, that will also make a sense. So yeah, so the thing here is to try my best. Is you see the best thing I can describe? You see the differences inside the mouth, from the eye, and you see obviously you see differences on the turquoise blue. It gets lighter comparable to when it was fresh. Was the turquoise blue was darker, and obviously every skin tone, if you have darker brown, lighter brown, or what I have, you will get a different result. Obviously, you will get a different result, and I don't know how much difference is if example, if you go to work, if every tattoo company, ink company, have different way how they make ink, that will also make a different result. For example, always when I get tattoos, the inks I always get is from Ink Eternal, and that is one company with many different tattoo companies with different ink companies. And I don't know how much difference they are in that sense. If, for example, if you have exactly turquoise blue and you have turquoise blue from another company, if that can make a differences, I don't know if that is the case or not. And yeah, so that is just the thing I really want to show is the comparison with a heel tattoo. And remember, this tattoo I have now is, I think, wait, it's September. I have it 2 months. This tattoo is very very new. It's only 2 months old. This tattoo, and maybe that will make a differences. Maybe after 2 years later, I don't know. The tattoo is just 2 months old, so I have it 2 months. So maybe that can be huge differences, and so on. And yeah, that's really everything I really want to say in this video about this topic. And absolutely the last thing I really want to say is, obviously every color will be a differences. One color will have make that way. For example, if you have turquoise blue and you have example normal blue, obviously normal blue will be make a difference on my skin comparable to turquoise blue. And so maybe even if colors looks very similar in that sense, can make big differences. And obviously also what time of the year you make a tattoo. If you have darker skin tone, if you make a tattoo more closely to the winter or autumn, or much closer to the summer, obviously the tattoo will have a different result because it's much more light sunshine in the summer comparable to the autumn, in special time in the autumn, or comparable to the time in the winter. So my skin gonna get lighter in the winter comparable to when I get in the summer. So obviously there will be a different result if you make that. So always, that's also an important thing to think about is when you do the tattoo, when time is your skin lighter comparable to your skin get darker, and that can also help your tattoo to heal more, heal much more peacefully, and you can have longer, you can protect. If you live in a country that you can have maybe a long sleeve, or the sun is not super strong every day, your tattoo will much more better healed, easily comparable if it's a place of very very warm and very strong sunlight. And then it's much, I think that is also a big importance is where you live, how often the climate will change can also make a difference in how your skin tone look, and that can also make a difference in how your tattoo will heal up on skin. And I know, for example, one of the tattoo before this one was my tiger, and I remember first the tattoo was like dark green. Like there was a mixture of there was other, not this one, there was the other tattoo, but mixture of lime green from Ink Eternal and avocado green, and there was Ink Eternal orange. I don't exactly know what kind of orange. There's many different versions of orange for Ink Eternal, and was one the other inks was not from Ink Eternal was yellow, and turquoise blue also Ink Eternal, and red also Ink Eternal, and so on, and dark purple with some drops of red ink, Oxford Ink Eternal, on the tiger straps that the tiger have around it, like orange. So the thing I noticed with this tattoo, not this one and other tattoo before that, this one was first it was like darkish green, then later on it was almost like lime green. So it's a very interesting combination there. Like, I never see that before. That was the first tattoo ever that I see that result. So first darkish green, then some weeks later, and that's what I mean. That the whole point why I tell this story is because of that tattoo was done in the summer, and so the tattoo get very light. Like, but there was a time in the middle of the healing process. It was not yet healed. It was the middle of the healing process, and the tattoo get really light, like lime green, like nuclearish lime green, and everything was very bright. And then later on, when the tattoo started to heal, there's almost like a boomerang effect. To turn it back, and come back exactly the same color that was in the studio, was back again on the skin, comparable how the tattoo was before. And that had never happened before. It's the first time ever that a color from the beginning go back to the beginning and stay that way, comparable to it. It was almost like a 1, 2, 3 different stages of nuance of the color. First dark green, then lime green, then back again to dark green, and everything turned to dark, more darkish than there was in second stage of the tattoo, and that never happened before. And that is what I think. That is my speculation here. My speculation here is that if you have two colors and mix them together in the mixture, when you mix the ink in the plastic bag or in the plastic cup, some color will be more dominant and over the other color. It's almost like a wrestling match. It's almost like who is on the top. So it's like you have. So that's what I think is happened with this tattoo we talk about right now. This one with the Ichthyosaurus tattoo, the Hydra style, they show in the picture here. What I think happened is that we have the tattooers have purple. I'm sorry I cannot say exactly what kind of version of purple, but I only know that have purple and they have electric raspberry. So it is some mixture with pink and magenta in some sense. Together and mix them, and what I think happened is that electric raspberry was much more closer related to red, and because the red is much more works better on my skin comparable to purple, much better than purple. It's not almost like it's huge differences, and I think that was the case that when the tattoo started to heal, the purplish ink in the mixture was starting to lose their effect, and because of that, because the electric raspberry was stronger, but then take over on the skin, and that is the reason why I think, I don't know, I just speculate about that. That is what I think is the reason why electric raspberry is much more clearer right now on my skin, because it's much more related to red comparable to the purple. And that, I think, some color will happen, like for example with the mixture of lime green, and avocado green on the tiger, the two mixture, is that the avocado green was much more dominant over the lime green, and that makes it so they turn back again to the darkish green on my tattoo before this one, the green tiger. And that, so that is the thing. That's what I think can happen is it's like almost like three different things. Like one thing is some color gonna get darker on your skin, and some color gonna get more dominant. It's the second step over the other color. So always, if you have example yellow and orange together, always the orange will put down the yellow, and orange will be more dominant. And so that can also make a different result of the tattoo. I think, I don't know, I just think that's a big speculation. So I think that is the thing. Maybe sometimes a tattoo artist can do as mistakes sometimes, is that they have two color mixed together and they don't know exactly what of these two color will be more dominant. And that is maybe a thing. If you have yellow and orange, for example, you maybe have to maybe much more focus on the orange, for the orange going to be stronger on brownish skin tone, and this kind of thing. So that is, I think, is very interesting how a color can turn back again to what before. It never happened before. How the color looks when it was before it was healed. Remember, the green I have right now on my tiger is exactly the same green as it was in the studio, and exactly the same nuance of that color. And so it's very interesting to see that result happen, and this kind of thing. And you see the same here from the on the eye on the Ichthyosaurus compared to the healed one compared to the fresh one. If you zoom in, zoom in first on the healed one, you can see it's much more darkish green, and then we zoom back again out and zoom on the when it was fresh, other word new, you see it's much more limeish green. And this tattoo is this green is only one green, it's only lime green, it's not two different green, it's only lime green. So that happen is that if you only have, on my skin only have lime green, the lime green will get much more, almost, you still see the green, but not as well as if you mix avocado green. So I will not, probably not, I just want to say like this. I think if I want a clear green that gonna look clear on my skin, I probably much more gonna take much more closer to the darker green side comparable to the lighter greens. I know that if you look on the internet, some sites say that lime green is the best on darker skin tones, but for me it's not really that case. For me, I see now that darker green is better on my skin for some reason, comparable to lighter green like lime green. And I don't, there's so many things that is still not unclear with this kind of thing. Because even if you are professional, even if you listen to professional tattoo artists and is professional in this with different darker skin tones, it's just they still can say wrong things because it's so diverse how your skin is. So, and like for example, just an example is if you see somebody and have a mother that is white or dark, or a father, or opposite, the father is dark or white, you will see differences. But if you see, that is the interesting thing with if you come people from Brazil, is that they're so mixed together with different from native South Native American people, African, Spaniards. There's so many different mixture, and so my point is that I think there's very much more to explore with the color scene of skin tones comparable to just say brown and dark. I think there's much more to explore to really know exactly what is the reason why some green will get lighter, or some green get in the middle of light to dark, or some get darker. What is the reason for that? And for me, I just speak for myself now, just for myself, is on my skin is that I see that mix if I go to tattoo art and they mix lime green, avocado green, the avocado green gonna be much more dominant in some stages, but they're not gonna run over the lime green. They're gonna mix in a very good harmonious way, and so that is the I see when I see example with my first tattoo ever with green was mixture with avocado green and lime green and some other green, I think, is much clearer still today on my leg, same as the tiger, comparable if you only use one green. So I think that the thing here is, I think some color you have to have two version of that color, two different version of forgetting much more power to that. For example, if you're orange, maybe you have to have a lighter orange mixed with a darker orange to get a special orange that's gonna be special on my skin. And I think that is maybe a case, that may be a reason why some people say this costs much more money for people with darker skin to get color tattoos, because if you go to a professional tattoo artist, they're probably gonna say, if you want this color, I will recommend to get two different version of that orange to get it more explosion to that color. In that sense, I don't know. I just that can be a speculation. That can be a sense of. Yeah, I just see just see the result of the green on the eye on this Ichthyosaurus comparable to the green of my other tattoos. Like it's much more clearer. I have four tattoos with green in them, and I know that the most powerful of the green is absolute the tiger, and number two is the leaf from the frog tattoo, and the second one is the wasp, and it's much more clearer. And I think that's because we have two different versions of green mixed together to get some kind of green. And the newest tattoo I will get in the next year gonna have grass green, and I don't know how well if the grass green gonna turn up more like bluish on my skin, because it's very close to blue but it's still green, much more green. It's not turquoise blue in that sense, but grass green is very powerful green. So that's going to be very interesting to see what will happen if I have a grass green. Are we only gonna use grass green, or I gonna have to maybe, because of this I don't know beforehand how a color will stack up on my skin when they have healed. So I cannot say if I'm gonna have to have avocado green mixed together with grass green to get a good green on my skin. I only know when I have lime green, avocado green, I get that darker green in that sense, because avocado green is more dominant on my skin in that sense. Yeah. So sorry. No. So yeah. Okay, that is everything I want to say in this video. I hope you like it, and yeah.